you know, just Jedi works. So we found Qui-Gon's development. He becomes a full Jedi. Has a few encounters with a couple of remaining Sith, Darth Maul being one of them, among the more powerful of the remaining Sith. And, of course, he takes on Obi-Wan as his apprentice, and Obi-Wan is going to last through 3 trilogies, isn't he? The Qui-Gon trilogy, the Anakin trilogy, and the Luke trilogy. And maybe he stays on the Ghost and the Daughters trilogy. But things are changing. Factionalism, as I said, springing up. And it starts to have pressure to start in the political arena, and then it starts to move outside the political arena, partially due to Sidious's meddling. And it's particularly sparked by the invention of cheap cloning technology. And with clones now being a viable option, clone armies start to spring up. And it suddenly becomes pretty easy to get yourself a private army, you know, for like a solar system. Like for someone of, you know, of some weight. So all these various factions start getting all these various armies. It becomes this kind of an arms race, right? And they start fighting in various ways, and these are collectively called the Clone Wars. It's always bothered me that they have the Clone Wars, but it turns out there's just one war, and it's the Civil War. And, you know, why do they call it the Clone Wars? Obviously, you know, they introduced clones there and everything. But these are the Clone Wars, various conflicts, and the Jedi, instead of staunchly defending the Republic against the evil Sith, find themselves mired in all sorts of various conflicts, trying to figure out who's, you know, good and who's bad. You know, then the various dictates coming down from the Republic, and things start getting more complicated and stuff, and, you know, as Qui-Gon's growing up being trained, there's a sense that, the world is changing. JoLuca is changing. Things are, as I keep saying, getting more complicated. So we get through that. Sidious, and now we're moving into Anakin trilogy, has set himself up as Chancellor, right? And the whole factionalism thing, fighting gets more intense, and then some alliances start shifting around, and eventually it just mainly comes down to 2 groups, the Republic and the Separatists. The Separatists claim to be like the real Republic. The Separatists, of course, led by Count Dooku, whom everyone expects is doing this out of it's what he believes is right. You know, he left the Jedi Order on good terms. Though Qui-Gon, you know, was just a bit suspicious of him. Before, of course, he got killed by, Darth Maul. What do you know? That guy we'd fought before. Not like a freaking nemesis, not like the most powerful Sith ever. You know, I don't want to exaggerate things too much. Exaggeration happens all too often as it is. But so Obi-Wan becomes a master, and he encounters this boy Anakin on the remote planet of Tatooine. And there's this prophecy of a chosen one. Actually, a rather disregarded prophecy. There's a whole bunch of prophecies, and this is one people hadn't thought about all that much. But with all this war going on, you know, people are more inclined to believe that a chosen one will come by and help them and all that. So he meets with Anakin, a boy who has a really significant innate force ability. A note on that with the midichlorians and stuff. The way I'm going to approach that is, it's not that you have force ability because of midichlorians, rather it's you have midichlorians because you have force ability. If the force is an energy field created by all living things, as Obi-Wan told us in Episode 4, then it seems natural that all living things would be aided by the force, right? Obviously Jedi use it when they move things around with their mind and all that. But the most basic form of life, your individual cells and midichlorians, would thrive on this stuff, right? So if you have innate force ability, that's like the perfect breeding ground for midichlorians. You know, they just eat it up. You know, they're They love it. And if you suck the midichlorians out of a guy, it wouldn't matter, you know, because the actual force ability is more innate. It's more immaterial, a little harder to pin down. As it well should be. It's the Force. So, Anakin had been brought up as a slave. He gets rescued, and they never get around to freeing his mother because they're busy with all the flipping wars that's going on. Which leads Anakin to resent the Jedi Order, that they can never go back and free his own mother. But, you know, they're busy with other things. They're busy with, this time, is the Civil War, right? Kind of comes down to the Republic versus the Separatists, Sidious versus Dooku, Sith on either side, because, of course, the whole war is set up as a giant sham just to suck the life out of JoLuca, to suck the life out of the Jedi Council, when there's only a few Sith left. I mean, there are like a dozen or so Sith left, you know. That's not enough to just launch a full frontal assault, but you get everyone fighting each other, you create chaos, people die in the crossfire, Jedi included, die in the crossfire.